Jai Suparikar Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Jiu Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Jiu Ki Jai Jai Shri Shri Gadādhara Pandit Prabhu Avirbhav Maha Mahotsav Titi Ki Jai Radharani Avatar Shri Gadādhara Pandit Prabhu Ki Jai Jai Nityalila Pravishtom Vishnupad Paramahansa Statarasata Shri Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nityalila Pravishtom Vishnupad Paramahansa Astatarasata Shri Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nityalila Pravishtom Vishnupad Paramahansa Astatarasata Shri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nityalila Pravishtom Vishnupad Paramahansa Astatarasata Shri Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nityalila Pravishtom Vishnupad Paramahansa Astatarasata Shri Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Paramahansa Mahabhagavat Srila Gaurkishore Das Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Srila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Vaishnava Sarvabhaum Shri Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Gauri Vedanta Charya Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu Ki Jai Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai Shri Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Trai Ki Jai Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatan Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Das Raghunath Sadago Swami Prabhu Ki Jai Srila Sarup Damodar Roy Ramananda Adi Gaura Parshada Vrinda Ki Jai Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sikaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadādhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Pancha Tattva Ki Jai Shri Gadādhara Pandit Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Gaur Gadādhara Ki Jai Shri Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Dvadashavanatmaka Shri Braj Mandala Dham Ki Jai Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Yamuna Ganga Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Govinda Radha Gopinath Radha Madan Mohan Jiu Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda Radha Shyama Sundar Radha Raman Radha Damodar Jiu Ki Jai Srimati Lalita Vishaka Adi Ashta Shaki Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Rupa Manjari Rati Manjari Ananga Manjari Adi Manjari Brinda Ki Jai Srimati Brinda Devi Ki Jai Srimati Purnamasi Yogamaya Devi Ki Jai Shri Gopi Swar Mahadev Ki Jai Sarva Bhishta Pradata Giriraj Govardhana Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Grantaraj Shri Chaitanya Charitamritam Ki Jai Grantaraj Shri Chaitanya Bhagavat Ki Jai Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Jiu Ki Jai Shri Jagannath Puri Purushottam Kshetra Dhama Ki Jai Bhakti Vigna Vinashana Shri Nrsinga Dev Ki Jai Bhakta Prabhu Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai Charo Dham Charo Sampradaya Charo Acharya Ki Jai Akara Matraj Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai और अनन्य शाखा मत समूह की जाए श्री विश्व वैष्णव राज सभा की जाए अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जाए Tribhuvana Pavana Harinam Samkirtana Ki Jai Tribhuvana Mangala Harinama Prabhu Ki Jai Hare Krishna Maha Mantra Ki Jai Sachinandan Gaura Hari Ki Jai Shri Nityananda Mahajana Ki Jai Shri Gaur Gadadhar Ki Jai Shri Pancha Tattva Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Gaur Gadādhara ki Jai. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadādhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadādhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadādhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadādhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadādhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Gaurahari Gadādhara Pranadana Nadiya Bihari. Jaya Sachinandana Gaurahari Gadādhara Pranadana Nadiya Bihari. Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Gaura Hari Gadādhara Pranadana Sankirtan Bihari Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Gaura Hari Gadādhara Pranadana Sankirtan Bihari Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Gaura Hari Nityananda Pranadana Nadiya Bihari Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Gaura Hari Nityananda Pranadana Ya Bihari Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Gaura Hari Sachimata Pranadana Sankirtan Bihari Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Gaura Hari Sachimata Pranadana Sankirtan Bihari Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Gaura Hari Vishnu Priya Pranadana Nadiya Bihari Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Gaura Hari Vishnu Priya Pranadana Sankirtan Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Gaur Gadādhar 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo Nitai Gaur Haribo Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Shri Gadādhara Pandit Prabhu ki jai. Radharani Avatar Shri Gadādhara Pandit Prabhu ki jai. Gaur Gadādhara ki jai. Gaur Gadādhara ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shanyavari Paschachadesha Tarani Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar iti namani Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayana iti namani Shri Krishna Lila Katane Sudaksham Audaurya Madhurya Gunaishta Yuktam Varam Varenyam Purusham Mahantam Narayanam Tam Shirasha Namami. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langayate girim yat kripa tamaham bande Shri Gurun dinataranam vansha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Namo Mahabhajanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaura Tishe Namaha. Nityanandam Namastubhyam Prema Ananda Pradayane Kalo Kalamashanashaya Janavapataye Namaha. Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vrindai Tulsi Debai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadādhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable Gurudev, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad, Paramahansa Asto Tarasata Sri Srila, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. Then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Gurudevs, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Ashtotarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj and Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Ashtotarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Then I'm offering my Dandavat Pranams at the lotus feet of all of my Sri Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga on this divine transcendental appearance day of the eternal associate of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, who is also the direct incarnation of Srimati Radharani in Gaur Leela, descended in the form of Sri Gadādhara Pandit Prabhu. So I bow down millions of times at his lotus feet and pray for just one drop of mercy, that we can in this life traverse this path to our ultimate perfection and association of all the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Gaur Leela and with Sri Sri Radha and Krishna in Krishna Leela. And my Dandavat Pranams to all the Vaishnavas and to all the Vaishnavis. And now we are going to read from Srila Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Goswami Maharaj's beautiful book, The Associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, wherein he is now describing this personality, Srila Gadādhara Pandit Goswami. So first of all, as is usual, he's quoting from the Chaitanya Chandrodaya Gaur Ganodesh Deepika, wherein the identity of all the different associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and what their names and forms are in Krishna Leela. So I'm reading the shlokas. There are 4 shlokas describing Gadādhara Pandit Goswami. Shri Radha Prema Rupaya Pura Vrindavaneshwari Sa Shri Gadādhara Gaura Ballabha Panditakyaka Nirnita Shri Swarupayaryo Vraja Lakshmi Taya Yata Pura Vrindavane Lakshmi Shyama Sundara Ballabha Sadhya Gaura Prema Lakshmi Shri Gadādhara Paṇḍita Radham Anugata Talya Yattal Lalitapyanuradhika Ata Pravishad Eshatam Gaura Chandrodai Yata. So, the incarnation of love, who previously was the queen of Vrindavan, Radha, is now the beloved of Gaura, named Srila Gadādhara Pandit. Swarup Damodar himself indicated that he was Vraja's goddess of fortune, the Lakshmi, who was previously the beloved of Shyama Sundar in Vrindavan. She today has become the goddess of fortune of love for Gaura and is known as Srila Gadādhara Pandit. Lalita, who is also known as Anuradha, is Radha's closest friend and confidant. She has also entered into Gadādhara, as was shown in the drama play. And so who is telling this? Swarup Damodar himself has indicated that Gadādhara Pandit was Vraja's goddess of fortune, the Lakshmi who was previously the beloved of Shyama Sundar and Vrindavan, that's Srimati Radhika. And who is Swarup Damodar? Lalita Devi herself. But here it's also telling that Lalita also entered into Gadādhara, as was shown in the play. Now, Srila Bhakti Vallabha Maharaj is now going to talk about the Gadādhara Tattva. What is the Tattva of this divine personality? Who is he? So he quotes from Chaitanya Charitamritam, Adi Leela chapter 1, verse 41. Gadādhara Panditadi Prabhura Nija Shakti Tan Sabar Charane Mor Sahasra Pranati. This translation, Gadādhara Pandit and others, they are the Lord's own energies, Prabhura Nija Shakti. And I pay thousands of obeisances to their feet. Now he's quoting from the commentary of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And here's what Srila Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta says. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears in 6 features, namely as the 2 types of guru. This is referring to the statement being made in verse number 1 of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. How Mahaprabhu is appearing in 6 features. So the first is the 2 types of guru, then the devotees of the Lord, then the Lord himself, then his incarnation, his expansion, and his energy. According to the principle of simultaneous oneness and difference, they are all identified with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. She who was Radha in Krishna's pastimes became Srila Gadādhara Pandit Goswami in Gaur Leela. So when Gaur manifests his identity with Narayan, then his Shaktis are his wives, Lakshmi Priya and Vishnu Priya. When does that happen? When Gaura Mahaprabhu, when he manifests his identity with Narayan, because he's also called Gaur Narayan. So when he's seen and manifested in that way, then his Shaktis are his wives, Lakshmi Priya and Vishnu Priya. There's a whistling sound. There's this, there's a whistling sound. If I talk more loudly, then there's like a, you have to adjust that. Now, so when Gaur manifests his identity with Narayan, then his Shaktis are his wives, Lakshmi Priya and Vishnu Priya. And when identifying with Krishna, then his Shakti is who? Srila Gadādhara Pandit Goswami. So here's the verse now. This is too muffled. It was good before. Only that treble sound. This is better. Better. Okay. Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam. Now he's quoting this verse. Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. I offer my obeisances to Krishna, who appears in 5 features. Here's the 5 features. A devotee, as the expansion of a devotee, as an incarnation of a devotee, as the pure devotee, and as the devotional energy. These 5 features all appeared with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his incarnation. And in their association, he joyfully performed the congregational chanting of the holy names. You turn this fan down a bit. A little bit. Today is cooler. I think that one also can turn down a bit. Now, so these 5 features, the word bhakta is used in this verse. Bhakta means a devotee. So panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhakta Avataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. So the point is that the Panchatattva are all different aspects of the Supreme Lord. 5 features, Panchatattva. And they are all coming in the form of devotees, because Krishna has now decided to appear in this incarnation as a devotee of himself. So these 5 features, they all appeared with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his incarnation, and in their association he joyfully performed the congregational chanting of the holy names. Now, though he appears in these 5 forms, there is in fact no difference between them. The distinctions arise due to his desire to relish different devotional flavors. Sri Gauranga, Nityananda, Advaita, Gadādhara, and Srivas, etc., they make up the Panchatattva. And there is spiritually no difference between them. The Supreme Truth has unlimited different pastimes in order to relish the different tastes of transcendental relationship. And thus, he separates into these 5 forms. And thus he separates into these 5 forms. Again, the Supreme Truth has unlimited different pastimes in order to relish the different tastes of transcendental relationship. So Krishna, his desire to taste ras is infinite. In all the different rasas, in all the different relationships, the Supreme Absolute Truth desires to taste different, relish different transcendental relationships. Therefore, he has unlimited, infinite pastimes in order to do this. And thus, he separates into these 5 forms as the form of the devotee, as the devotional manifestation, as the devotional incarnation, the devotional energy, and the pure devotee. So now, here Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is being quoted in his commentary on Chaitanya Charitamrita. And here's the verse that he's commenting on. Jaya Jaya Nityananda Gadādhara Jivan. Again, Jaya Jaya Nityananda Gadādhara Jivan. Jaya Jaya Advaitadi Bhaktera Sharan. You can repeat after me. Everyone repeat after me. Jaya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Nityananda. Gadādhara Jivan. Gadādhara Jivan. Gadādhara Jivan. Jaya Jaya Nityananda. Gadādhara Jivan. Jaya Jaya Advaitadi. Jaya Jaya Advaitadi. Bhaktera Sharan. Bhaktera Sharan. Jaya Jaya Advaitadi. Bhaktera Sharan. Jaya Jaya Nityananda Gadādhara Jivan. Gadādhara Jivan. Jaya Jaya Advaitadi Bhaktera Sharan. Advaitadi Bhaktera Sharan. So here's the translation. All glories to the life of Nityananda and Gadādhara. All glories to the shelter of all the devotees headed by Advaita. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur, he comments on the words, quote, the life of Gadādhara as follows. So Gadādhara Jivan means the life of Gadādhara, his very own, his life and soul. So here's what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur says about this term, the life of Gadādhara. He says, Srila Gadādhara Pandit Goswami, he is chief amongst the most intimate devotees of Sri Chaitanya. He is the fountainhead of the entire Shakti Tattva, and he is thus present equally in Mahaprabhu's Leelas in Navadvip and in Nilachala. His childhood home was in Navadvip. Later, when he took sannyas, then he went to live in Jagannath Puri, in a garden or a tota by the seashore. Pure devotees who wish to enter into the madhur ras of worship to Radha and Govinda take shelter of Gadādhara Pandit and they are known as Gauranga Mahaprabhu's intimate devotees. Those devotees who are not so inclined to in other words, inclined to enter into the Madhur Ras of worship to Radha and Govinda. So those devotees who are not so inclined, they take shelter of Nityananda Prabhu. And they engage in pure devotional service in his mood. Now, some of Mahaprabhu's devotees, such as Narahari, they were followers of Srila Gadādhara Pandit Goswami. They took refuge in him because they knew him to be his dearest associate, and thus to be worthy of their service. Some devotees therefore call Chaitanya, quote, the life of Nityananda, while others called him the life of Gadādhara. So now here's the presentation of the early life of Sri Gadādhara Pandit. Now, where was he born? Huh? Bandar? Yes. So Gadādhara Pandit was born in the village of Beleti Gram in the Chittagong district of modern Bangladesh in a family of Varendra Brahmanas, and he was born in 1408 of the Shaka era, which is 1486 AD. Guess what? He's born at the same time, same year as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Right? 1486.
Says it's 1 year younger.
Okay. So it could be the same year, but 11 months. Yeah. So he was born on the dark moon day of the month of Vaishak. And his father was Madhava Mishra, and his mother was Ratnavati Devi. He also had a younger brother, who is named what? Vaninath. He's known as Vaninath Rai. Are you familiar with that name, Vaninath Rai? Have you ever gone to Champahati? Here in Navadvip Dham is a place called Champahati. We went there this year on our parikrama, and every single year we go there, Champahati. There's a temple there in Champahati. Do you know who the deities are in that temple at Champahati? What? What? Who are the deities that are worshipped in the temple? Gaur Gadādhara. Okay? Don't you remember seeing those deities there? Gaur Gadādhara? At that temple? Same place where Jayadev Goswami lived and wrote Gita Govinda, Champahati. So those Gaur Gadādhara deities, guess what? They are directly worshipped. They were, at the time of Gadādhara Pandit, they were worshipped by his brother, who's mentioned right here, Vaninath Rai. Later on, hundreds of years later, that temple, that location, and those deities were donated to Srila Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And that's why that temple there is now a Gaudiya Math temple, and it's looked after by the Gaudiya Math. And today there's a huge festival going on there. Now, his younger brother was named Vaninath. So, Gadādhara Pandit belongs to the Kashyapa Gotra, Kashyapa Muni. He's in that Gotra. He's in that dynasty. So he lived in the village of Beleti until he was how old? 12 years old, yes. And then where did he move with his family? To Navadvip Dham. And from that time, when he was 12, then he grew up with Mahaprabhu, was his classmate, and was with him continuously till the end of their manifest pastimes. Now, Sri Gadādhara Pandit Goswami was a brahmachari for his entire life. He never married. Ishwarapuri Pad, Ishwarapuri, who is the guru of who? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Ishwarapuri Pad was very impressed by his indifference to the pleasures of the world. Yes. Ishwarapuri was very impressed by this boy, Gadādhara Pandit Goswami. How indifferent he was, how detached he was to the pleasures of the world. And then out of affection for him, he gave him instruction in his own work that he wrote, Ishwarapuri, called Krishna Lilamrita. Now, while Mahaprabhu was delighting in his pastimes as a student, there was no scholar in the town of Navadvip who was not afraid of entering into debate with him. Huh? They were all afraid of Mahaprabhu. They could not even go near him when he was in his pastimes as Nimai Pandit. So, Mahaprabhu would defeat any of their position that they would establish logically, and then he would show how the same position could be defeated. So Mukunda and Srivas and others who knew the joys of the devotional sentiment, they were afraid of getting involved in such useless debates with Nimai Pandit. And so they would avoid him. Now one day Nimai Pandit, he saw Gadādhara, and he asked him to give the definition of the word liberation. So then Gadādhara answered according to the Nyaya school that liberation consisted in the final eradication of all miseries. That's called Adyantika Dukkha Nivritti. Then Nimai proceeded to show how this definition was inadequate. The other devotees who were listening thought how wonderful it would be if such a brilliant scholar became a devotee. This is from the Chaitanya Bhagavat. So when Mahaprabhu returned from Gaya, and he began to reveal the amazing transformations of love, then all the devotees were astonished. Sriman Pandit was the first to see Mahaprabhu's ecstatic symptoms, and he reported this news to all the others who were overjoyed. So when Mahaprabhu decided to reveal his true identity to the devotees, then he told them to come to the house of Shuklambar Brahmachari. Then Gadādhara went to Shuklambar's house, but he was discreet about his presence there. But when he saw Mahaprabhu become intoxicated with the power of the holy names, and when he saw him overcome by the sattvic bhavs, he fainted. Gadādhara fainted. Then Mahaprabhu said to him, Gadādhara, you have such good fortune. From your early childhood, your mind has been fixed on Krishna's lotus feet, and meanwhile, I have wasted my life in useless activities. Though I had obtained the great treasure of a human birth, by my misfortune, I made no use of it. So whenever Mahaprabhu became too overcome by his ecstasies, then Gadādhara would calm him. Right? When would Gadādhara calm, make very calm Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? When he became too overwhelmed, too much overcome by his ecstasies. So Gadādhara would calm him down. Now one day, as Mahaprabhu was crying out in separation, what was he crying out? Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Then Gadādhara said to him, your Lord Krishna is hidden in your heart. And as soon as he heard this, Mahaprabhu began to claw at his chest. But luckily Gadādhara was able to stop him by holding his hands and to calm him by saying, Krishna will come shortly. Be patient. Now when Sachi Devi saw how Gadādhara was clever in handling her son, then she asked him to always stay by his side to protect him. So isn't that amazing? how Gaur Leela unfolded like that. That Sachi Devi saw how this newer boy was so adept at keeping her Nimai calm, and even when he was overwhelmed, then this boy, Gadādhara, could calm him down. So therefore she wanted him to always be by his side. So what is this? This is Radharani. Gadādhara is none other than Radharani, but there's a very special tattva about Gadādhara tattva, because this is never ever shown externally. This relationship that, like Radha and Krishna's relationship, is never shown in Gaur Leela externally like that. But internally, it is the highest moods that are being expressed internally and secretly, but never showing outwardly. So, we'll hear so many more things now about Gadādhara Pandit. Now here's the famous history of how Gadādhara ends up taking initiation from who? Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Now once, Mahaprabhu was calling out the name of his dear associate, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, and he was saying, Pundarik, my father. And Mahaprabhu was crying. None of the devotees present were able to understand what Mahaprabhu meant. So when they asked him, then he told them about Pundarik Vidyanidhi. And he explained that he would shortly be coming to Navadvip, Mayapur, because at that point Pundarik Vidyanidhi had not come yet to join Mahaprabhu in his pastimes. But he gave warning like this, calling Pundarik, Pundarik, my father. But none of the devotees were able to understand who was this person that Mahaprabhu was referring to. And when they asked him, then he told them about Pundarik Vidyanidhi. And then he explained that he would shortly be coming to Navadvip, Mayapur. So when Pundarik did come to Navadvip, then he played the role of a great sense enjoyer in order to dissimulate his greatness. Dissimulate means to kind of like disguise his greatness. Now Mukunda Datta was a former resident of Chittagong. That's also in Bangladesh. And he knew Pundarik Vidyanidhi, who was formerly Radharani's father, Vrishabhanu. So he knew him very well. And one day he told Srila Gadādhara Pandit Goswami that he wanted to introduce him to a very advanced Vaishnava. And he took him to Pundarik's house. Now Mukunda introduced the two of them. And then Vidyanidhi happily engaged Gadādhara in conversation. Now Gadādhara, however, who had been indifferent to sensual pleasures since he was very young, he began to have doubts about Pundarik Vidyanidhi when he saw the expensive furnishings by which he was surrounded. Rich sheets as white as the foam of milk, perfumes in the air, the pan he chewed. Mukunda saw the doubt written on Gadādhara's face, and he decided to reveal Pundarik's true devotional nature to him. So he recited a verse in glorification of Krishna from the Bhagavat. So why was Gadādhara Pandit feeling some doubt in this person, Pundarik Vidyanidhi? Yes, all different items for luxurious living. Not simple. Huh? This is only a tiny description. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat, you hear like paragraphs describing this personality, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, how he was sitting on this very expensive bed with these beautiful pillows. His hair was greased back and sent with scented oils. Not only that, he was also smoking a hookah. And he was sitting there, completely absorbed. But Gadādhara Pandit, because Gadādhara was very, very austere from his childhood, he was very detached. And when he saw, because Mukunda Datta had told him, I'm going to bring you to see a very great devotee of Krishna. Very great devotee. Yes. He's going to introduce him to this advanced Vaishnava. So, when they came into the house of Pundarik Vidyanidhi, then they spoke together. Pundarik Vidyanidhi was very happy to meet Gadādhara, and they spoke. But as they were speaking, Gadādhara was looking at all of this opulence surrounding this devotee. Why was he surrounded by so much opulence? Now, yes, so rich sheets as white as the foam of milk, perfumes in the air, the pan that he was chewing. So Mukunda, he saw this doubt on Gadādhara's face. And then he decided to reveal Pundarik's true devotional nature to him. And so he recited a verse in glorification of Krishna from the Srimad Bhagavatam. And what is that verse? From the third canto. Third canto, chapter 2, verse 23, which was spoken by Uddhav when he was remembering Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. And here's that verse. Aho bakiyam stanakalakutam jighamsaya payayad apyasadvi lebe gatim datriuchitam tatonyam kamvadayalum sharanam prapadye kamvadayalum sharanam prapadye. So Mukunda Datta sang this verse, which is talking about how Krishna gave the highest destination to the demoness Putana, who came to try to kill him. Here's the translation of the verse. How truly amazing! The sister of Bakasur, the evil Putana, was sent on a mission to kill Krishna. He drank the Kalakuta poison that was mixed with her breast milk, and despite her evil intentions, he awarded her the position of a wet nurse, Datri, as Ambika Kalimba in Goloka. That was the name. So who is more merciful than he, that I should take shelter of him? Kamva dayalum sharanam brajema. So the instant, at that moment, that Pundarik Vijayanidhi heard this verse, now he began to weep and he began to cry. And his whole demeanor changed. And he called out, Kamva dayalum, Kamva dayalum. How can I take shelter of anyone as merciful, who is more merciful than this person, Krishna, who gave liberation and the position of his nurse eternally in Goloka Vrindavan to this demoness Putana who had come to kill him. So now he began to call out and crying and crying again and again. He said, Ha Krishna, Ha Krishna. Then he fell to the ground in a faint. Now extraordinary ecstatic symptoms began to show on his body. Then Srila Gadādhara Pandit Goswami, he was amazed to see this reaction. And now he began to regret that he had such offensive thoughts before. He had been having these just moments before. But then later on, Mahaprabhu advised Gadādhara that the best way to become free of the offense was to take initiation from Pundarik Vijayanidhi himself. And so he became his disciple. So just see how interesting this is, that Pundarik Vijayanidhi, who is Vrishabhanu Maharaj in Gaur Leela, he's the father of Srimati Radhika. And now here's Gadādhara Pandit, who is Radhika herself, who is appearing in Gaur Leela, and how this connection came, that Pundarik Vijayanidhi became his guru. Now, the next section is titled The Lord's Constant Companion. How Gadādhara was the constant companion of Lord Chaitanya. Srila Gadādhara Pandit Goswami was Mahaprabhu's constant companion. He participated in Mahaprabhu's water sports after the conversion of Jagai and Madhai. Yes. So who was there after the pastime when Mahaprabhu saved Jagai and Madhai and then they swam in the Ganga? Gadādhara Pandit was there with Mahaprabhu. Then in Chandrasekhar Acharya's house, when Mahaprabhu was performing Krishna Leela drama, play, then also Gadādhara Pandit was there. He observed the Mahaprakash Leela of Mahaprabhu in Srivas Angan. What was that? When Mahaprabhu for 22 hours sat on the altar of Vishnu and in the house of Srivas Thakur, and he took the position of Vishnu, and he manifested this non-stop for 22 hours, and during that time all of his devotees came forward, and Mahaprabhu individually, to each one of them, he began to give them so many benedictions and blessings. So Gadādhara Pandit was there. That's called the Mahaprakash Leela. And also when the Qazi was converted by Mahaprabhu, also Gadādhara Pandit was there. And then when Mahaprabhu took sannyas, he accompanied Mahaprabhu to Puri, where he joined him in cleaning the Gundicha temple, in bathing in the Narendra Sarovara, etc. So now, at Chandrasekhar's house, in the first act of the play about Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, that Mahaprabhu staged, so Haridas, he played the part, that's Haridas Thakur, he played the part of the village constable. Srivas Pandit played Narad Muni, Mahaprabhu Rukmini. And then in the second act of the play, Gadādhara also dressed as a woman, at which time Mahaprabhu said, Gadādhara is a part of my Vaikuntha family. Now afterward, Mahaprabhu dressed as the primal energy, and he gave joy to everyone in the form of the mother of the universe. And the devotees also glorified him with hymns and addressed those hymns to the Divine Mother that Mahaprabhu was revealing as. So now, it's describing Gadādhara's Kshetra Sannyas. So, Srila Gadādhara Pandit Goswami, he went to live in Puri as a Kshetra Sannyasi. Mahaprabhu gave him the service of the Tota Gopinath deity, and he told him to live in the Yameshwar Tota, or in the garden. Now on one occasion, when Gadādhara heard that Nityananda had come to Puri, then he invited him to come and to take Tota Gopinath's prasad. Then Nityananda accepted his invitation, and he brought some fine rice from Bengal as an offering for Gopinath. Then Gadādhara cooked the rice along with leaves and vegetables from the Yameshwar garden. And when he was offering the foodstuffs to the deity, Mahaprabhu also appeared there, giving him great pleasure. And the three of them joyfully took prasad together. So that's actually at the very last chapter of Chaitanya Bhagavat, described in more detail. So when Mahaprabhu wanted to go to Vrindavan, then Ramananda Roy and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, they used all the means at their disposal to make him stay in Puri. But on the third Chaturmasya, after his departure from Navadvip, then all the Bengali devotees came to Puri with their wives to see him. And after the Gundicha temple cleansing and the Ratha Yatra, then the devotees returned home. As they were leaving, the devotees from Kulina village asked Mahaprabhu to describe the characteristics of a devotee. Then Mahaprabhu described the differences between a Vaishnava or a more advanced Vaishnava and the most advanced Vaishnava. Now, when Mahaprabhu showed even more determination to go to Vrindavan, the devotees finally gave him permission to leave after the Vijaya Dashami. Now, King Prataparudra gave a great deal of help to smooth his journey. So when he crossed the Chitrotpala river, Rai Ramananda, Mardaraj, Harichandan, they continued on in his company. And Srila Gadādhara Pandit Goswami, he was unable to tolerate the idea of separation from the Lord, and he also wished to remain with him. But Mahaprabhu reminded him of his vow to remain in Jagannath Puri, and he forbade him to go to Braj. So Gadādhara said to Mahaprabhu at that time, he said, Jagannath Puri is wherever you are. My vows to remain in Puri can go to hell. Then Mahaprabhu again told him not to abandon his service to Gopinath. So Gadādhara answered, seeing your lotus feet is worth 1,000,000 services to Gopinath. So when Mahaprabhu said, if you abandon your duties to Gopinath, you will be at fault, Gadādhara answered that he was willing to take that responsibility, but he would not disturb Mahaprabhu by following alongside him. He would go alone to Bengal to see Sachi Mata. Now, other than Mahaprabhu's intimate associates, no one is able to understand the extent of Gadādhara Pandit Prabhu's devotion to Gauranga. Love on the path of spontaneous devotion is not easy to comprehend. And Gadādhara was ready to abandon his vows, to abandon his service, and everything for the sake of Mahaprabhu. Now when they all arrived at Cuttack, then Mahaprabhu called Gadādhara and he said, your decision to break your vows and to leave your service has been made a reality. If you come with me, that will make you happy. But do you want your own happiness or mine? It will make me unhappy if your vows to remain in Puri and to serve Gopinath are broken. And if you want my happiness, return to Puri and take up your vows again. That is all I have to say. So when he heard Mahaprabhu's words, Gadādhara fell to the ground in a faint. Then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya comforted him on Mahaprabhu's order, and then he accompanied him back to Puri. So now the next section is called Gadai Gauranga. You know what Gadai Gauranga means? Gadai Gauranga. You know the meaning? Gadai is short for Gadādhara. Gadai Gauranga. It means Gadādhara Gauranga. Now due to her amiable simplicity, Krishna's wife, Rukmini, was not always able to understand Krishna's joking words, and she would become frightened. So similarly, just like her, Gadādhara was also unable to always understand Mahaprabhu's witticisms or his feigned indifference, all of which would disturb him. Now, Srila Gadādhara Pandit Goswami was by nature simple and affectionate. So on one occasion, Ballabha Bhatta, he came to see Mahaprabhu, and the two of them were engaged in jocular conversation. Now when Mahaprabhu saw that Ballabha Bhatta was proud of his scholarship, then he became somewhat distant from him, and he started to find flaws in everything that he said. Now Ballabha responded to Mahaprabhu's indifference by starting to visit Gadādhara and making a show of attachment to him. Now Mahaprabhu did not particularly care for Gadādhara's relationship with Ballabha, and he began to demonstrate a certain coolness towards him also. Now this behavior made Gadādhara fear that Mahaprabhu would ostracize him, and so he came and he fell at his feet and he started to cry. Then Mahaprabhu laughed and he embraced Gadādhara. And he said to Gadādhara, I wanted to agitate you, but you did not become agitated. You said nothing in anger, but patiently bore everything. Your mind was not disturbed by my tricks. So by remaining fixed in your simple nature, you have purchased me. No one can describe the character of Gadādhara's ecstatic love. And thus Mahaprabhu has been given the name Gadādhara Prananath. That means Gadādhara's life and soul. No one can describe the Lord's mercy toward Gadādhara. And thus people sing their names together. Gadai Gauranga, Gadai Gauranga, Gadai Gauranga. So Srila Gadādhara Pandit Goswami, he remained on this earth only 11 months after Mahaprabhu's disappearance. And in the Bhakti Ratnakara, Narahari Chakravarti has described the terrible suffering of Gadādhara in Mahaprabhu's separation. He remained alive only in order to be able to see Srinivas Acharya. So, Srila Gadādhara Pandit Goswami disappeared at Puri on the dark moon day of Jyeshta in 1456 of the Shak era, which means 1535 AD. Shri Gadādhara Pandit Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Jai Gaur Gadādhara ki jai. Gadai Gauranga ki jai. Gaur Premanande. So that's a very nice presentation of Srila Bhakti Vallabha Maharaj, and showing in brief these wonderful features, these ecstatic moods of the relationship between Gadādhara Pandit and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I looked up what was just stated here from the Bhakti Ratnakara of when Srinivas Acharya came there to Jagannath Puri and met Gadādhara Pandit. Oh. Okay. So I'm going to read that. Just give me a second. I have to find where it starts here. Now, so So there's an incredible description here about Srinivasacharya. We would really have to read this whole chapter. It's chapter 3 of this book, Bhakti Ratnakara by Srila Narahari Chakravarti. And how along the way, as he was going toward Jagannath Puri, he had various dreams of Mahaprabhu and also of Lord Jagannath, and like this. So, Srinivas was so charmed that in ecstatic love in his sleep, he fell onto the ground and he bowed down at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who had come to him in a dream. Then the Lord looked at his dear servant with a glance full of compassion, and he said to him, "Do not be sorry. Your heart will forever be my resting place." Now after saying this, Lord Chaitanya disappeared, and Srinivas woke up from his sleep. So, Srinivas woke up from his sleep, and it was morning. Now Srinivas calmed his heart, and he started for Markanda after asking the way from some passing travelers. Now after finishing his regular morning duties, he bathed at Markanda, and then he asked an old Brahmin for directions to the temple of Sri Gopinath. That elderly Brahmin took him to the temple, which was where Sri Gadādhara Pandit lived. Although barely able to maintain his life due to the disappearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Srinivas became very aggrieved upon seeing the condition of Gadādhara Pandit. When he saw his condition, he became so aggrieved to see Gadādhara Pandit's condition, and he fell prostrate at the lotus feet of Gadādhara Pandit. And then hastily he entered the temple of Sri Gopinath. Now everyone present there asked Srinivas who he was and where he had come from. Then Srinivas replied that he had come from Bengal, and that his father was Sri Chaitanya Das, and he was named Srinivas. Now everyone felt great happiness, and they embraced him most lovingly. Sri Pandit Goswami, that's Gadādhara Pandit, he was sitting alone in a solitary place. Now remember, this is just slightly under 1 year after the time that Mahaprabhu had already left this world. And Gadādhara Pandit had been suffering in deep separation for all of that time. Endless streams of tears. So now Srinivasacharya approached Sri Gadādhara Pandit Goswami, who was sitting alone in a solitary place. And his mental state was beyond description. His moon-like face and his beautiful body, they had grown very pale, like a lotus deprived of water. He continuously cried, and his tears soaked his entire body, as well as the Srimad Bhagavatam that he held on his lap. And in a choked voice, he recited the shlokas of Bhagavatam. From time to time, he uttered the name of Sri Gaur Sundar, and he heaved sighs that were as hot as fire. So by the will of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gadādhara Pandit had maintained his life simply so that he could meet Srinivas. So when Srinivas bowed down at his feet, Gadādhara Pandit at once regained his normal condition. Then someone introduced him to Srinivas. Then Gadādhara Pandit eagerly embraced Srinivas, and they cried pathetically, soaking each other with their tears. Now, although Gadādhara Pandit had been in a wretched state of mind, he derived some happiness from seeing Srinivas. Then Gadādhara Pandit ordered one of his followers to introduce Srinivas to all the other Vaishnava Goswamis residing there. Then soon all the devotees were informed that Srinivas had come to meet Pandit Goswami. Ramananda Roy used to come every day to the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, where they would sing the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Srinivas went to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house, where he met both of them and fell at their lotus feet. And by seeing Srinivas, their ocean of mercy overflowed its limits. They embraced Srinivas in ecstatic love, and Srinivas repeatedly bowed at their lotus feet with tears in his eyes. They embraced him again, and they ordered one of their followers to take him to meet Vakeshwara Pandit. Now, Srinivas fell at the lotus feet of Vakeshwara Pandit, who most affectionately embraced the boy. And he said, "It is good that you have come, my dear son. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will perform many activities through you." He then ordered Srinivas to meet the other Goswamis. Sri Paramananda and other sannyasis, they had been living in a very miserable condition since the disappearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They had no strength or energy, and without even a sense of day or night, they lived as if barely able to maintain their lives. Srinivas met each of them, and he offered his obeisances, whereupon each of the sannyasis embraced him affectionately. They all cried while embracing one another. And after a long time, they controlled themselves. Then they advised Srinivas to meet the other devotees. So now Srinivas met many Vaishnavas at Shiki Mahiti's house. And the devotees greeted Srinivas tearfully, and Srinivas spoke to each one of them. Kanai Kutiya told him, "My dear son, Srinivas, my dear son, Srinivas, today you have come like a light to our blind eyes." And then his sister said, Shiki Mahiti's sister said, "We remain alive only for your sake." Then Sri Patanayak Vaninath and others were also happy to meet Srinivas, and they advised him to meet the other devotees and to give them relief from their suffering. So after taking permission from Vaninath, then Srinivas met Govinda and Shankar. He found them sitting in a secluded place, lamenting the absence of Lord Gauranga. They had become so thin that even a puff of wind could have dislodged them. Srinivas fell at their lotus feet, and they at once took him in their arms. They all cried loudly and lamented in various ways. Then Srinivas fell to the ground unconscious, but with utmost care the devotees consoled him and advised him to meet the others. And with a disquieted mind, Srinivas went to meet Gopinath Acharya, who became very emotional upon seeing him and who took him in his arms. And after a long time, Sri Acharya said, I had a desire to meet you. A few days ago, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disappeared from this world, and unfortunately you could not come here in time. Do not feel sorry, for Lord Chaitanya will always remain in your heart. Now go and meet the other associates of the Lord. So thus, Srinivas went everywhere, and he met the great devotees who all accepted him very affectionately. And due to the disappearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the devotees had fallen into a miserable condition that is beyond description, even if one possesses thousands of mouths. Now Srinivas visited all the places where the deities of the Lord had been installed. And he met the devotees who seemed as inert as the deities. It appeared as if they had remained alive only to meet Srinivas. Now Srinivas cried in despair because he could not attain the association of Raghunath Das Goswami and Swarup Damodar. Raghunath Das had become disheartened upon the disappearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the absence of Swarup Damodar, and also the absence of Swarup Damodar. So Raghunath Das had gone to Vrindavan, and Srinivas could not meet these two devotees, so he lamented in various ways. Nevertheless, he went with a heavy heart to visit the place where Raghunath Das Goswami had lived. Who can describe the glorious character of Sri Raghunath Das, the disciple of Sri Yadunandana Acharya? In the drama Sri Chaitanya Chandrodaya, Sri Sivananda Sain reveals the identity of Yadunandan Acharya, who was the favorite disciple and the friend of Sri Vasudev Datta Thakur. Everyone at Nilachala had known Sri Raghunath Das because he was a handsome young man and a favorite associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now while Sri Krishna Chaitanya was present, Prataparudra Maharaj had entrusted his state to his son. The king absorbed himself in singing the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, along with Vasudev Sarvabhaum and Sri Ramananda Roy. So in this way, they passed their days in a great happiness, and until suddenly they felt the approach of a bad omen. At that very moment, they received news of the disappearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whereupon the king dashed his body onto the ground and beat his head with his hands. At last he fell unconscious. The condition of Rai Ramananda was just like that of King Prataparudra, because he could not bear the absence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So upon hearing that the king had also been deprived of seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu before his disappearance, then Srinivas lamented their misfortune. Srinivas went to the seashore and saw the samadhi of Haridas Thakur. He offered his heartfelt obeisances before the samadhi by throwing himself onto the ground. He remembered the pastimes of Thakur Haridas, and while meditating upon his sublime character, Srinivas again fell to the ground, calling out the name of Prabhu Haridas until he fell unconscious. The devotees present tried to console Srinivas, who then again offered his respects to the samadhi, while continuing to lament. Now seeing how the boy was so perturbed, one of the devotees took Srinivas to Paṇḍita Goswami, that means Gadādhara Pandit, who then ordered them to go to the temple of Lord Jagannath. Now Srinivas entered the temple through the main gate, the Singhadvar. At that time, he looked as brilliant as the sun. His body was smeared with dust, and his eyes were red from crying. Everyone became spellbound upon seeing the condition of Srinivas, and at the same time they were charmed to witness his magnificent gait. Someone said, "Look at Srinivas, whose heart is the eternal dwelling place of Sri Krishna Chaitanya." Then another person agreed with him, and he said, "It must be true, otherwise so many devotees would not be so concerned about him. Although the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are in a miserable state due to his disappearance, they nevertheless look happy in the presence of Srinivas." Now someone else said, "Lord Jagannath has brought him here to relieve us of our miseries." Then another person said, "The former message given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is now clear to us." One man said, "I cannot bear to see the misery of such a gentle boy." Now Srinivas offered his obeisances in front of the Singhadvara, and he went to see the Lord who delivers sinners from torments in hell. He first went to see Lord Nrsingadev. He offered his obeisances to the deity and glorified him in various ways. And then he very cautiously entered the temple, and he stood to one side where he could see the divine face of Nilachala Chandra from a distance. The beauty of Nilachala Chandra was so splendid that it could defeat the beauty of a dark monsoon cloud. So who's Nilachala Chandra? Do you know? Lord Jagannath. Lord Jagannath. It's another name, Nilachala Chandra, which means the moon of Nilachala. So now, from a distance, he's looking at the deity, and the beauty of Nilachala Chandra was so splendid that it could defeat the beauty of a dark monsoon cloud. His lotus eyes stretched to his ears, and the beauty of his face could defeat millions of moons. How wonderful were his hands! How beautiful and glamorous he appeared with his ornaments and his bright dress. Long flower garlands that touched the ground hung from his beautiful neck, and a crown of flowers bedecked his attractive head. Srinivas next looked at the deity of Sri Baladev, who was so beautiful that he defeated the beauty of the moon. A kunda flower of a sandalwood, and also it defeated the beauty of a kunda flower or the beauty of a sandalwood mountain. What a beautiful face! Even a glance from his eyes could make Kandarpa senseless. That means Cupid. His hands, eyebrows, large eyes, and forehead were so beautiful that it would be impossible for anyone to describe them properly. Then Srinivas was so thrilled to see the beauty of Sri Baladev, and he became mesmerized by the beauty of Sri Subhadra. Then he also observed the Sudarshan Chakra with so full satisfaction. Now the head priest of Lord Jagannath gave Srinivas some prasad, and he gave him a flower garland that had been worn by the Lord. Srinivas visited all the temples within the compound of the main temple, and at last he and his guide returned to Sri Gopinath Acharya's house, where he again offered his obeisances at the lotus feet of the deity. Now for a second time, Srinivas went to the house of Pandit Goswami, Gadādhara Pandit, who permitted him to eat the Mahaprasad that he had received. And Srinivas became emotional. He began to cry. He was attracted by the divine scent of the prasad, and he ate it with utmost love. Gadādhara Pandit Goswami told Srinivas to sit beside him. And then he said in a choked voice, "You have a desire to read the Bhagavatam, and I also want to teach you, but everything is now in disarray." After saying this, Gadādhara Pandit fell silent. From time to time he would cite shlokas from the Bhagavatam and then explain their meanings to Srinivas, who considered himself most fortunate to receive the instruction. Pandit Goswami advised Srinivas to go to Vrindavan, because there all his desires could be fulfilled. He told Srinivas that he had a Bhagavatam in his possession, but it was damaged. And Srinivas looked through the book. He offered his obeisances by touching it to his head, and then he became very emotional while looking at the words. He remembered Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Gadādhara Pandit, whose teardrops had made the words illegible in some places. While reading the book, Srinivas attained such a level by looking at this Bhagavatam that he became frightened. A level of ecstasy. By looking at the Bhagavatam, which was wetted by the tears of Gadādhara Pandit, but he experienced an ecstasy so great that Gadādhara Pandit Goswami became frightened. Now he tried to pacify Srinivas with his affection. And his affection knew no bounds. Sri Goswami advised Srinivas to return to Gaudadesh. Now here's the instructions that Gadādhara Pandit gave to Srinivas Acharya. He advised him to return to Gaudadesh after bidding farewell to the devotees. And then he ordered Srinivas to convey his messages to Das Gadādhar, to Narahari of Srikanda, and many others. It appears that Sri Goswami Gadādhar gave some difficult instructions to Srinivas that the boy could not comprehend. Because he could not question the order, Srinivas began to lament in various ways. Indeed, when he took permission from Sri Goswami to depart, Srinivas cried bitterly. He dedicated himself at the lotus feet of Sri Gopinath, and he went to see Lord Jagannath. Now Srinivas prayed to the Lord in a mood of bitter lamentation. He bade farewell to all the devotees, and some of them walked with him a long distance. Srinivas reached Bengal, and he conveyed the messages of Sri Gadādhara Goswami to various devotees. He wondered whether he would ever see Sri Goswami again. And with that thought in his mind, he started for Sri Khanda. So in this way, we're reading this. Oh, there's more. Let's read this. So let's see what time it is. Okay, this will be the end after I read these next few paragraphs. So upon meeting Srinivas, Thakur Narahari embraced him affectionately, and he began to cry. He asked Srinivas about the condition of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates in Nilachala. And in a choked-up voice, Srinivas reported everything, describing the miserable condition of the devotees caused by the disappearance of the Lord. So while speaking about Sri Pandit Goswami, Srinivas could not control himself, and he fell onto the ground unconscious. Sri Raghunandan and some others also became very emotional just to see Srinivas. Thakur Narahari took the initiatives to try and pacify everyone. Now Srinivas rested that night at Sri Khanda, and in the morning he set out for Jagannath Puri again, thinking that this time he would not adhere to the order of Sri Goswami, but instead he would remain with him. So after entering Orissa, Srinivas noticed some people coming in his direction. He eagerly inquired from them whether there was any news of Gadādhara Pandit, but these people did not answer. Then after a long time, they could only say that Sri Pandit Goswami had disappeared from this world. Wow. So Gadādhara Pandit, just right after Srinivasacharya left to carry the message to Bengal, then he himself departed. And now he's hearing that from the associates there. So after a long time, these various associates, they could only say that Sri Pandit Goswami had disappeared from this world. This news came as a stroke of lightning on Srinivas's head, and he fell unconscious onto the ground like an uprooted tree. Now the people from Nilachala began to chastise themselves for giving such news to Srinivas. However, what else could they do when he inquired? Now they considered that they should take care of him, and they should try to serve his life. These people made every attempt to bring Srinivas back to consciousness. And upon regaining consciousness, he continued to lament and beat his head with his hands. He addressed Prabhu Gadādhara loudly, and he chastised him for sending him back to Gaudadesh. His lamentation broke the hearts of even the birds and the beasts. So late that night, as Srinivas was in a deep sleep, he dreamed of Gadādhara Pandit, who tried to console him in various ways. So still, Srinivas did not stop crying. Like a madman, he began to run in the direction of Jaipur village, but then he lost his directions. Then on another night, Gaur and Gadādhara both appeared in Srinivas's dreams and directed him to go to Vrindavan by way of Navadvip. So after giving the order, they disappeared. In the morning, Srinivas started for Gaudadesh, and on the way, he met many people who recognized him to be a great devotee. They suspected that he had not heard the news from Bengal. And when Srinivas asked them directly about the welfare of the devotees in Gaudadesh, They could not utter a single word. So being repeatedly requested by Srinivas, someone finally stood with his face hanging down, and he began to cry. He then reported in a choked up voice that Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Charya, they had disappeared from this world. So when he heard this shocking news, Srinivas flung his body onto the ground and decided to give up his life. He beat his head with his hands, and he tore his chest with his fingernails. And with his arms outstretched toward the sky, he called out the names of Gaur, Nityananda, Advaita, Gadādhara, and Swarup Damodar. He loudly informed them, I will not stay in this world without you. So in the morning I will light a fire and I will enter into it. So lamenting in this way, Srinivas fell asleep late at night. That night Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Acharya appeared before Srinivas in his dreams. He became overwhelmed by seeing the golden complexion of Lord Nityananda, which glittered like the morning sun. What a beautiful smiling mouth that overflowed with love. What a beautiful face, just like the appearance of the brilliant full moon. How wonderful he looked with tilak on his forehead. Glittering earrings hung from his beautiful ears. His broad eyes were charming, and his nose was curved like a parrot's beak. His beautiful set of teeth could be compared to a row of kunda flowers. His gait was like that of a lion. Beautiful nupuras tinkled on his lotus feet. So like this, I read this section because it's very connected with Sri Gadādhara Pandit Prabhu, and no one can even imagine the separation mood that Gadādhara Pandit was in. Srila Gurudev tells that that Gadādhara Pandit, after the disappearance of Mahaprabhu, he became very, very withered and very weak. You should turn on these two light bulbs, because it's dark out there, it's not sunny. This light bulb and that light bulb. Yeah, and that light bulb. Yes, so what was I saying? Yes, so Gadādhara Pandit Prabhu, as we already heard, he stayed for almost a year, another year, like 11 months. He stayed on the planet just to meet Srinivas Acharya and to give his mercy to him. And we've heard the description here that Gadādhara Pandit's separation mood was so intense, and the pathetic, his moods of weeping always, whenever any of the devotees would see, their hearts would be shattered to see this extreme suffering of Gadādhara Pandit in separation from Mahaprabhu. Which means what? It means the separation of Radha from Krishna. Those are the moods that were being displayed by Gadādhara Pandit. And Gadādhara, in course of time, he became so weak that he found it difficult to stand up while he was performing his worship and puja of the Gopinath deity there. And so what actually happened? the deity sat down so that he would not have to stand up. And that's why that deity of Tota Gopinath in Jagannath Puri is sitting cross-legged in lotus posture. So all these moods, we heard that when Mahaprabhu disappeared in Jagannath Puri, that he was witnessed simultaneously in 3 different locations. Disappearing. Many people saw. One of the places was in the Jagannath temple. That he merged into the deity of Lord Jagannath, Mahaprabhu did. And the second location was at the shore of the ocean. Many persons saw that Mahaprabhu, he entered into the ocean and disappeared. And the third and final location was there in that temple, in the temple of the Gopinath, called Tota Gopinath temple, where Gadādhara Pandit stayed. Mahaprabhu entered into that deity. Now, any of you who have been there to that temple, you'll know that in that temple they give a darshan because the dhoti that the deity is wearing is covering his knees, his thighs, and ankles and all. But at a certain time, I think they do it daily after Mangalartik. I'm not quite sure exactly the timing, but they actually give a darshan of like a golden line that is there on the thigh of Gopinath deity. And that's supposed to be the mark that indicated that Mahaprabhu had entered into the Gopinath deity. So, Srila Gurudev spoke so many different kathas on this day, and these different lectures and so forth are also very valuable for us to read, especially on these days. You can go to purebhakti.com and go to the Pure Bhakti calendar. And when you come to this day, today's date, then you will see that this is indicating that this is the appearance day of Sri Gadādhara Pandit Prabhu. And so, on this day, then there's the Harikatha. If you press on that day, then it will go to another page on purebhakti.com, which lists looks like about 7 or 8 different lectures of Gurudev's on this day. So I wanted to give this complete overview of Gadādhara Pandit's personal life, his pastimes with Mahaprabhu, so beautifully narrated by Srila Bhakti Balabhatirtha Goswami Maharaj. And I became inspired when I saw at the end of that short narration, biographical sketch, that Gadādhara Pandit, it was indicated there that in Bhakti Ratnakara, that when Srinivasacharya went to visit Gadādhara Pandit, he found him in this impossible state and just weeping and weeping. So we just heard that now, how Gadādhara Pandit greeted him and how he was so devastated, and how Srinivasacharya was able to actually bring some happiness to the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who were all lamenting in extreme separation after Mahaprabhu had left the planet. So one by one, all the associates of the Lord, they kept on disappearing. But in particular, those associates who had been sent to Vrindavan directly, ordered to go and live in Vrindavan by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and also the associates like Raghunath Das Goswami, who came to that conclusion himself after Mahaprabhu departed. He could not tolerate. There was no way that he could even tolerate living any further in this world. So he had this desire to go to Govardhan and go to Vrindavan. And in Vrindavan, he would climb to the top of Govardhan Hill, which was a lot taller than it is nowadays. But even there are some parts which are considerably tall. And then he would commit suicide. He would take his life by jumping off of a Govardhan and smashing himself on Govardhan Hill. That was his plan. But when he came to Vrindavan, then he also met Rupa and Sanatan Goswamis, who were living there at that time. And they saw him in that pitiable condition, and now they took compassion on him, and they embraced him to their hearts, and they immediately accepted him as like their brother, and they wanted to save his life and to nourish him. So they began to speak to him the Harikatha that they had written. The Harikatha, the books that they had written. And Raghunath Das Goswami was so revived and uplifted by this, he completely gave up any plan to take his life. And now, under their guidance, then Srila Raghunath Das Goswami began to do Brajvas. And he's the oldest. He lived on the planet longer than Rupa, Sanatan, or any of the other 6 Goswamis. And he lived at Radha Kunda. And he became the Prayojan Tattva Acharya of our line. So, Srila Bhaktivigyan Bharati Maharaj, he makes a point that Gadādhara Pandit Prabhu, when Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was beginning to write the Chaitanya Charitamrita, then Gadādhara Pandit, he told him that he should not mention his name. He did not want his name mentioned. How did Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, how did he come to write the Chaitanya Charitamrita? Well, there was one devotee who was the head priest and the topmost devotee in Vrindavan, the personal direct pujari of Sri Govindaji. And that pujari's name was Haridas, Pandit Haridas. So, who was he a disciple of? Yes, he was a disciple of Ananta Acharya. And who was Ananta Acharya a disciple of? He was the disciple of Gadādhara Pandit. So the order ultimately to write the Chaitanya Charitamrita came from Gadādhara Pandit through his disciples to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Otherwise, we would not have the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And how impossible it would have been to live in this world without Chaitanya Charitamrita. These hundreds of years after Mahaprabhu. Now we know everything about Mahaprabhu's leelas, pastimes, moods, everything. And how did that come about? That came about because Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami associated very, very closely with who? In Vrindavan? Raghunath Das Goswami, who had all of the kadachas of Sarup Damodar Goswami and his own notes or his own diaries, where he wrote down all these different pastimes of Mahaprabhu. So through Raghunath Das Goswami, then Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami received all this transcendental nectar, and therefore he was able to compose Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So today, on this auspicious day of the appearance day of Srila Gadādhara Pandit Prabhu, we are very overjoyed to be in Sri Navadvip Dham, in the very place where all these pastimes of Gaur Gadādhara and Mahaprabhu and all of his hundreds and uncountable numbers of associates, eternal associates, Panchatattva, how they danced, how they chanted everywhere on these 9 islands, going out for Harinam Samkirtan every morning. Udilo Arana Puravabhage, Dvijamani Gaura Amani Jage, Bhakata Samuha Loya Sate, Gela Nagara Braje. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes how Mahaprabhu took all of his associates with him after the sun rose and the reddish sky of the morning sun, Arunodaya Kirtan. Then Mahaprabhu began singing and dancing with all of his associates, and they went everywhere, all throughout these 9 islands. So how fortunate we are to be here and hearing this transcendental nectar and narrations of Mahaprabhu and his eternal associates. So, Gaur Prem Anande, Hari Hari Bol, Shri Gadādhara Pandit Prabhu, Transcendental Appearance Day Ki Jai, Gaur Gadādhara Ki Jai, Gadai Gauranga Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Prem Anande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Gaur Gadādhar, Gaur Gadādhar, Jaya Gaur Gadādhar. Jaya Gadai Gauranga, Gadai Gauranga, Jaya Gadai Gauranga. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadādhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadādhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Gaur Gadādhar, Gaur Gadādhar, Gaur Gadādhar, Jaya Gaur Gadādhar. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.